We're back with one of my favorite guests because I always feel like I go home and I have a little bit more wealth or knowledge of wealth because of working with Harvey Warren, who is here. We're talking about life insurance, though, now.
Yes, we are.
Different seasons of that.
Yes, we are.
But a lot of people are afraid to discuss life insurance because it really has to do with death, and nobody really wants to talk with it. Are there some people who avoid it because of that reason?
Well, yeah, a lot of people put their head in the sand. They don't want to deal with the fact that, you know, here's the news, we're all going to die. And the question is, how do you plan for that death, and what do you do in your life, and what are the living benefits of life insurance? That's a little-known subject that very few people talk about, and you always hear about death benefits. We're going to talk a little bit about the seasons of money in terms of what's the right thing to get at the right time. Because, you know, if you're 60 years old, it's one kind of a purchase. If you're 25 years old, it's completely different.
All right.
Yeah, no, the third thing.
The third thing, the secret thing.
What is the secret?
Now, you won't find it on the websites, and people don't talk about it, but it's an IBR plan, which stands for Income-Based Repayment Plan. It's a rather new thing that came up because people realized that if your income wasn't adequate to repay the loan, how do you deal with that? How do you work with people on it? And what they said is, okay, show us your tax return. Let's see what you are making. We've helped many people cut down their student loan payments from $300, $400 a month to literally zero.
How come people don't know about this?
Because lenders like to make a lot of money?
Yeah.
Well, isn't there some kind of law?
Terrified of bill collectors, and they don't realize that they're making the problem worse minute by minute by not calling them back.
Well, that's an emotional response then. There's obviously when people start coming after you, you have an emotional.
Yeah, it's called shame. People are just shame-based when they get in debt trouble, and they just get completely paralyzed and unable to pick up the phone and call back their creditor. They can't get it into their head that all they need to do is call up and say, hi, this is Harvey. I'm having a problem. I lost my job. I got divorced. I got downsized. I can't pay this bill, but I want to do something. Do you have a plan for me? Please help me.
Can you help me?
Yeah.
Please help me. People, that's the last thing that people think to say to a creditor.
And you've helped a lot.
Work, nothing, and
so medical bills, no work, divorced.
Yeah, on your own.
On your own.
So you choose bankruptcy.
Well, not quite.
Harvey guided you to that.
Yeah.
But how did you feel about that?
Well, I was very reluctant because I wanted to honor my dad. You know, I tried everything. I wanted to fight to be able to repay my dad.
Don't you think this is a really big misconception that people have about bankruptcy toward people who file bankruptcy?
Right.
That they're taking the easy way out.
Right.
But the people who file bankruptcy don't feel that way at all.
I've never met one person yet that said, gee, I can't wait to file bankruptcy. You know, people hate it. They really don't want to do it, but sometimes it's what you must do.
And there's repercussions to doing this. It's not like you just walk away. There's things
It's
that you
10
have
years
to...
on your credit report and a lot of other emotional issues, but in her case, she had the perfect storm. Medical, family problems, you know, downsized business. It's just, at some point, you just had to say enough's enough, and the courts provide an outcome for that.
How do you...
Family, whatever the economic shock was that you experienced, tell the bill collector what's going on, and you will find, if they're a good bill collector, most of them are good ones, that they will back off. Sometimes there's really bad ones, and we'll hear from one of them shortly.
How do we know what our rights are? Like you immediately said, or in that conversation, you wanted to talk to the supervisor.
Right.
Did they have to pass the supervisor on when you ask?
Well, sure. Well, remember, the person you're talking to, that may be their second day on the job. They may not know what exactly to do. They may not even know where the water cooler is. You know, they're just sitting there going like, yeah, you have to pay your bill. They have no idea what the rules of the road are. When you, as the debtor, know what the rules of the road are, you control the conversation. People rarely believe that they can get control of a bill collector, but by being firm and clear that you know your rights, it works every single time.
What happens if they do get abusive with you?
Well, if they do get abusive with you, there's other remedies for that, and I think we're going to talk about that when we come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
The simple fact of the matter, these are complex financial choices that people need to make, but they need to know about them. They need to see a financial advisor. They need to talk to someone who's an expert. And the problem that people have is they never get out the door and sit down with somebody and say, can you please explain to me what's a strategy? I'm 44 years old. I've got my parents I'm worried about. I'm building for my kids' education. I've got all these concerns. I don't know where the money's going to come from. When I'm done working for them, then what about me?
But they keep waiting. They say 44, I'll do it next year.
Yeah,
Does it come to a point where it's just too late to start saving for retirement?
Never too late, never too late. Anytime you start and you start getting a focus on what's down the road for you, whether you're 40, 50, or 60, you need to get a focus on looking at what your options are and seeing a professional.
Well, people are struggling right now, as you know, and it's sometimes hard to get blood out of a turnip when you're saying, how can I begin saving for those later years when I can't live the years that I have? I'm just strapped.
You know what I found? I found that most people believe that, but when they really sit down with a good advisor and reallocate their resources, they realize that there's things that they're spending money on that they don't need to spend money on, and there's things that they should be spending money on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, the holiday hangover.
Right.
Is
Yes, January 10th, and oh my God, now what did I do?
Yeah. Is there any quick fix to that?
No.
That we can.
No.
No, you just stay
Don't
calm,
spend.
stay calm, and get to making a budget, control your expenses in January and in February. You had your party, now you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And you suggest to shop the sales or not shop the sales?
Well, that's always a good idea. You
Yeah.
can always give cash and get those after Christmas sales and clearance numbers. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea, though, of buying something that will help a good cause. Because
Yeah,
it
a
makes you
donation's
feel
great.
good, and it also makes the person feel good. What, you mentioned something about planting, when we were talking privately about trees, planting trees, or was it?
Yeah.
Well, there's
You said elephants.
well, that's his charity.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
television.
you can.
Yeah.
I
I'm going to
planted
get you an
some
elephant for Christmas.
I planted some lovely hedges in my front yard,
Yeah.
and I named them after you. So that's what you're getting for
I'm
Christmas
not quite
this year.
sure. Okay, all right.
In LA, the
Okay.
Street People, that's a great
All right.
charity,
Yeah,
and they
it
like
is.
to, green LA, and that's a great thing to do.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Well, thank
Harvey,
you.
thank you
Thank you,
so
Harvey.
much for your advice and guiding us down that road. I don't know
My
what you're going
pleasure.
to get me, but you better break the